Today we're going to look at exponents with integer bases. Now this first one starting off here is a little bit tricky because I do have a negative on the outside. I'm just going to kind of save it for later. I'm going to put it off to the side and save it for later. And I'll explain to you in a couple minutes why that is. So I'm going to just kind of ignore that negative for the time being. So now I have 9 to the second power. Now remember that the second power tells me how many copies of that big number I have. So I have 2 copies of that 9. So I'm going to take 9 times 9, and I'm going to get 81. Now I'm going to go ahead and stick it with my negative number. Now why I kind of put that off till a little bit later is because sometimes we'll have answers that will look like this. And it says that I have 2 copies of a negative 9, and multiplying again, a negative times a negative ends up being a positive 81. So it's completely different. If the negative does not have a parentheses with it, it's got to be added in to your answer at the very last second there. So we're going to go ahead and put in that negative 81. Okay, here's my next one. Okay. Now again, I'm going to save this negative for last because I do not have a set of parentheses. Now it tells me that I have 3 copies of 2. So 3 copies of 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times another 2 is 8, and it's going to be negative 8. Okay, another one. Let's save my negative for later. I have 2 copies of 7, so 7 times 7 is 49. Bring back my negative, and I'll have negative 49. Okay, we're going to do a couple more practices here. Oh, it gave me another one. Okay, now you do notice that this one is inside the parentheses, so I'm not going to save my negative for last. I have 2 copies, maybe I do, 2 copies of negative 8. So negative times a negative is going to be a positive. 8 times 8 is 64, so a positive 64.